Hello, beautiful stars. Happy Saturday night. It is another Matrix Living episode, and tonight we have our dear friend Heath with us, and we are going to discuss all things Matrix Living in the viewpoint of Heath. So, Heath, thank you for being here tonight with us.
Yes, fantastic. Well, I appreciate the invite. I'm happy to be here and share with you guys as much of my personality as I can.
Yeah, thank you. I started these episodes, Matrix Living, so just all sorts of different conversations can be had. And I want to invite everyone in the chat to be respectful, enjoy, communicate your thoughts, because that's how everything begins. And I want to give a big shout out to Heath, who also is the owner and operator of Rhythm and Breath Remedies, who you do drum circles around this location, don't you?
That is correct. I've
Yeah.
been participating in them just as a fan, just as a participant. And then the community drum circle that we had, participants kind of like went their way. So we kind of like had to bring it back in and try to start it again. And there needed to be someone there to kind of like always be present because when you're present, people come. So I kind of just took on
Yes.
that role and went with it and just fantastic. And people started asking me from different areas and for different events, hey, this is awesome. Can you come out and do this? So I started doing that. And then I decided to purchase chairs, purchase extra drums, and I would always bring those and set those up. And hey, the old saying, if you build it, they will come.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. In an area like Coolidge Park where pedestrians are just roaming from place to place. It was the perfect place just to go ahead and set up a drum circle, have extra chairs, have extra drums, just have this inviting atmosphere where people would. They would just come in and start sitting down. You will not have to have any experience. And before you know it, you're in there, you're in rhythm, you're playing with each other, and you're communicating back and forth at a very, very organic level, not very
Yeah.
mechanical. Nothing is really needed there. You can just be yourself and allow yourself to flow. And it's just something that brings lots of satisfaction to me to be able to
Yeah.
provide that for people. And I decided to, hey, why not just make a mobile drum circle and bring it to different people for different things?
For
So I've been
different
able to work
things.
with the Red Cross, CHI Memorial. I'm about to start working with Chattanooga State, hopefully, to do drum circles there,
Nice.
mainly during finals week when students are just under, normal life's pressures,
Oh.
then finals pressures, and all these things. So
Mm.
this is going to provide them a way to get
Just,
out tension, to get
yeah.
to a calm point of stillness, and gain empowerment at the same time. And then they can take that into the classroom and just, take their test and be done with it without all that anxiety. That's the
Well,
plan, at least.
kudos to you. And I know the audience here at Stars of the Morning Light, and welcome everybody for coming on in. Thanks for being here. Most of them just I know for a fact just appreciate everything you just said, and so we do appreciate you, Heath. And so Heath with Rhythm and Breath remedies, and I've experienced it,
Hey, I'm
beloved
sorry. It's
stars.
just,
It's
it's just
it's
remedy, just a remedy.
a remedy, just
Yes.
remedy. It would so Rhythm and Breath remedy.
Yes.
Um, I've experienced it, and I've experienced your breath work. I've experienced the drums, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's a great experience, and so I just wanted to put that out there as everybody's kind of coming in and settling into the Matrix Living episode. So we will get right into it. And thank you, Heath, for sharing that
Yes.
small
Thank
little
you.
fraction of who you are and the greatness that you do in the Chattanooga area. So, I ask everyone the first question here at Matrix Living, to all the great guests that are here. Do you have a memory or an instance in your past that you would share with us that a moment that you can recall that kind of opened your eyes to, whoa, something else is happening here on this earth that we walk around on. Could you share that with us?
Um, okay. That's going on the assumption that you already have faith that I have had some type of
True,
experience
true.
other than the normal structured life that most people live in.
Right.
So with that assumption, very safe assumption, yes, I feel that I have had the opportunity to step outside of my common identity, the common perspective of the world, into something that was different, something that was altered, or maybe something that was forgotten and remembered.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you have like do you have a memory, a personal memory that you could share with us from a
sure,
young
sure.
age?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I also don't mind to share that I was diagnosed with epilepsy and had several full-on grandma seizures.
Okay.
And
Okay.
quickly within those, too much energy, too many neurons, too much firing in the brain. So the body decides to just kind of like go into a boom, paralyzed, shut down state. And the theory among that is that there is possible astral projection of the mind, of the soul, whatever you would want to call that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably my first ever just like, okay, what is going on here? Um,
Okay.
because during those,
Yeah.
you would kind of like go into a blackout state and then wow, you may perceive yourself that you're out for 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, you may go on a journey or a dream that seems like forever, but when then you're woken, they're like, oh gosh, you were out for 3 seconds, we were so worried, right? So I would
Right.
say
Right.
my first seizure was probably my first real experience, just a jarring experience that was just like,
How
okay, boom, I'm out of this experience, what's happening now?
how old were you, Heath? Because that would have shaped.
I believe
That would
second
have shaped so much of your
Probably
life.
second grade was my first seizure.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay, darling.
Hmm.
Okay. So, I guess I would assume then of the only reason I'm going off of kind of I have family members that have it, and friends who have had seizures that and they express their experiences, and it influences them, and I can only imagine having one at such a young age, and maybe even however many you've had, the influence of that in within this topic of matrix, right? So how do you feel that it influenced you in your perception of things moving forward and growing in life?
Um, okay, as going back and as a point of reflection, as older and more of experienced person
Right.
who has gone through growth, who has visited this world, visited that world, still visiting other worlds as I go, hopefully. Bringing all that back and the reflection back of those experiences. Yes, I definitely see how that has shaped me, um, especially without having anyone that would have been. Hang on, you're going to make me do some math here. Okay. Okay, so let's just say the early 80s, mid 80s. Not too much research on
Yeah.
the neurological side of epilepsy and the effects that it may have long term on people, mental development, if you believe in a spiritual development, if you believe in connectedness, any of that, there was no research on that. So going back to that and seeing what there is now, yes, definitely. The seizures kind of got my identity out of the way and allowed the source, the spirit part of me, whatever somebody would want to call it, to leave the body temporarily and experience just complete immersion into the source, into oneness, into no Heath.
Okay, well, that kind of moves us into so for Heath or the no Heath. what what do you, here's the thing, darling. I There's no right or wrong answer to what is the Matrix. We all kind of have our own ideas as to it. And so there is no right or wrong, and that's why I'm starting this conversation with a
Mhm.
whole array of different people out there just to gain their thoughts and opinions. So, out of from this big influence from the life you've lived, right? The experiences you've had then, now, and in the future, do you have thoughts about what you perceive the Matrix to be?
Um, Too many to catalog.
Well, give me some. Give us a
Yeah.
few.
Okay. Um, my well, my background in education, I have a degree in religious studies, and I have a degree in philosophy.
Okay.
And my religious studies was with a comparative religion.
Mm,
And philosophy teaches the practitioner to learn how to not accept anything at face value, to be a critic, which a critic is someone that wants to continue to dive deep into something and to continue to learn. So,
yeah.
with studying comparative religion and then also having the philosophical side and that training to dive deep critically and look at the evidence that has been left behind without any judgment, preconceived ideas, to look at how all the religions have ideas of what identity is, if there is a lasting identity, what is God, if there is a God. So, all of my thoughts and what I have come up with, I take from many, many sources. Nothing that I really have is really genuinely mine because it's been affected by everything that I have learned. So, yes, I will share you
Mm-hmm.
my thoughts, but I don't say that any of my thoughts are correct or wrong. They're just thoughts that I have. And yes, I would love to share them in a free, open space, which I think this is, where I can feel to be authentic with my
Yeah.
thoughts and not have any attachment to those. And then we can learn to grow with each other and have a collaborative conversation where we can learn from each other and move forward. So,
Yes.
yes, thoughts on the Matrix.
Yes.
Um,
And Heath, I really want to point out to the audience that you said we don't have to be attached to our thoughts. Because before you begin, beloved, in this arena of like social media, YouTube, podcasts, that uh, conversations like this, so many people think we're very attached to our arguments or our thoughts, and no, not necessarily. So thank you very much to bring that up, because once again, there's no right or wrong within this topic of conversation. Really, there's no right or wrong in most things. So thank you for expressing that, because the audience, that's really good to pick up on. Of even in our walking day lives, we're not necessarily attached to our thoughts, in my humble opinion as well. It's just thoughts.
I agree.
Yeah. So go ahead. Let's share some of them. I'm
Okay.
excited. I'm
Well,
interested.
okay. Well, we do live in the age after the movies, The Matrix.
Yes.
So, for in popular thought, when people hear the word Matrix, they think about the movie The Matrix. And, concept, everybody is really in sleeping pods and they're attached and they're being used. And that is like the reality. And the Matrix is this uh, self fed world of like make believe that they think that they're really living in.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so with so with that concept, I've always viewed the Matrix for myself as something that has been like the wool that has been pulled down over our eyes, something that has been placed there to not allow us to see the reality, the with a question mark behind it,
Ah,
not
yes.
the
Yeah.
reality with a period.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
so whatever that is,
Do you, Heath, do you feel, because you brought up the movies, do you feel it's more sci-fi like that? Like we are in some kind of pod somewhere or some, because for me personally, I enjoy the movies, don't get me wrong. The movies bring up, there's pockets of times and lines in those films that it's like, yes, breathe that in, folks, right? But it got a bit, for me personally, it got a bit too sci-fi. As in, I personally don't think that I'm in a pod somewhere in a dream state. I'm not in a, um, echo chamber with, you know, uh,
right.
some kind of something. For me personally, I don't feel that it's as technology or sci-fi. Do you think it is? Because to each their
Oh,
own on that.
no,
Yeah.
no, 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 not sci-fi at all. But do I believe that the powers that be, the people that are kind of in control of how we live our daily lives because of the economy that has been set up, the industry that has been set up, the jobs that have been put in place, the education that has been put in place, all of these factors that are there for social control, do I believe that that is more than just a conspiracy theory? Yes, I think it has been proven that it is now a theory that, yes, for a lot of people that have not wanted to investigate their own life and their involvement of their own life within the world can live in this industrial based marketing world of being marketed to and over advertised, that they think that is the reality that is important. And that is what they live every day. Every one of their thoughts is, how can I live in this matrix of a world, this existence? And that is the matrix that I kind of got from the movie and from like life and just living life as a kid, being taught all these different realities. Okay, I'm going to have to digress a little bit real fast, but I'm
Go
good about
ahead,
digressing
darling.
fast
Yeah,
and
we're
getting
here.
back. Okay,
We're
when you're
here with you.
young, depending on what religion you're brought up with, what your values are, what your beliefs are, you start to create this kind of like matrix of reality for yourself based on everything that you're around. So it can start way, way, way back in a person's life. Um, and the deceit that can be put upon a person that we try to start creating our own world, our own perception of the world. What is my place in this? Little bitty lies. The Easter Bunny, okay, right, innocent. The Tooth Fairy, okay, innocent, right? Santa Claus, innocent. But we are told that these are like real entities, things that actually
True.
exist. So at a very, very young age, if we are deceived, unfortunately, by our parents and what our parents tell us, we start to already create a false matrix for ourselves and we start to live in it. And the earlier that we start to live in this fictional based reality that we create based on people saying this is real, this is the reality, this is the world that you need to live in, we start trusting people. And this goes all the way to the industrial world, the world of marketing and advertisement, that is the matrix that a lot of people are living in, is this idea of materialism, personal growth, you know, uh, oops, keeping up with the Kardashians.
Yeah, yeah,
That
right.
is that is the matrix that I think a lot of people have got stuck in that I would consider the current matrix now for a lot, but also have tons of other ideas about the matrix. But that's one more
Well,
relating to just
well, with
people.
that, do you are you also kind of referring to that our own perception of things and somewhat the choices and design within our own mind and our perception of things um, kind of creates our own personal little matrix because so like
Yes,
I could care
exactly.
less. I've never even seen the Kardashians,
Right,
right?
right, right.
And I'm sure many of us haven't. So
Hmm.
it's like if we are the ones that choose to step out of that reference, step out of that scope, are we also then creating our own kind of matrix? Or is it still like a part of the overall whole? I don't know. What do you get what I mean?
I do. Yes, that's where all of that was eventually going to wrap up to is that
Yeah.
everything that we have been told, everything that we have kind of created, the little lies, and then the truths are thrown in there. I have to do truths again because there should be a question mark behind that one as well. But the truths that we are told. So, yes, we start creating our own individual identity matrix. It's actually called an identity matrix within us psychology. Yes, we start creating our own structure, our own identity, how we relate, how we connect to the world. Yes, at a young age, we start creating that. Boom, boom. We start building these structures, and then we live within those structures and we become limited by those structures that we create, and then we go into the marketing structure that has been created. Yes, lots of people are built into this materialism. What can I get out of life? What can this
Mm-hmm.
happen? What can I get? Where can I go? And a lot of them can justify it by whatever self deception means that they try to rationalize to continue to build that structure. That is the matrix, yes, is our own personal identity structure that prevents us from experiencing anything outside of it, especially if we are a very good architect. Intelligent people can create
Mm.
the most deceiving self structures so they can rationalize how they're living, everything. That is also a matrix.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. I fully agree. one of one of the reasons I also created this Matrix Living episodes is because I humbly believe, be out of witnessing and observing, that the that matrix that you're talking about, that the majority of the collective experience, that consumer based, that work driven based, that greed and all that kind of basement matrix, I do believe that that is crumbling away. I do believe in what we quote unquote know for the majority of our, let's just say maybe like third dimension, right? That kind of thing. Um I believe it's crumbling away. And so you bring up a good point as to we kind of create our own though. So if I'm in my head, if I'm thinking about like, okay, the overall matrix that we've known for a long time and have experienced is crumbling away, but yet I am the creator of my own, how do I use these two? Like, how do I merge? Well, if this crumbles away, can I create all anew? You know, and do I have that authority? Do I have that, ability? So uh, do you have any ideas about that? As if, well, first, do you feel as if through perception, do you have thoughts as if aspects that have kind of, let's say, controlled the collective are crumbling away within that matrix system? And if so, like, what can we do about that? Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? What do we do about it? That sort of thing. Because that's kind of also what I'm hearing with you saying the we create these matrix, the individual matrix, all the little boxes, right? All the little
Hmm.
boxes that we limit ourselves with. If one big, if the one big totality of the box of like the consumer box, right? The
Hmm.
keep up with the Joneses box is crumbling away. How are we going to adjust? I don't.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
all
So,
thoughts. These are all
so
thoughts.
yeah. Oh, of course. Yes. Yes. And I love thoughts. And the great thing about thoughts,
Yeah,
when we get to that point to where we're not attached to our thoughts and we allow them to flow and just move through us,
yeah,
then they're awesome because we're not
yeah.
attached to them. Because I'll talk to myself. Oh, hey, what's going on there? Oh, why are you thinking that? That is so wrong. Boom. Okay, let's go over here. Boom. That's not right. And then hopefully I'll go boom, and I'll
Boom,
meet right
yeah.
here somewhere. I'll compromise with, conflicting thoughts of my own.
Yeah,
And if I
right?
didn't,
Yeah,
that old Indian saying, I won't go too far with it, but it's talking about the two wolves.
yeah, yes,
One is anger, one is greed, the other one is peace, giving, charity, and the boy
yeah.
says, "Well, which one's going to live? The one you feed."
Hmm.
So I try not to feed either one more than the other one. I try to like keep it in the balance. So with thoughts, I want to get there, and I'm going to ask you, start over, please.
Yes, I know, because like I'll start blah 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 blah, and then it's like, oh, let's start with this question. Out of your observations of the past, I don't know,
Oh, hang on a minute. You were
decade
talking.
ish or so, yeah, out of the past decade or so of your observations, or just within your understanding and knowing, do you feel as if that main matrix frame that we've all kind of been living in, right? The consumerism, the industrial, the right, the advertising world is. Do you feel as if that is like starting to crumble away?
Um, I would like to be hopeful and thinking that the collective identity, that world of feed the ego, which is, oh my gosh, how dare will I say this? That is driven by capitalism. And if there was no ego, there would be nothing to manipulate. Man couldn't be deceived and advertised to and fed wrong information to go out and buy the stuff. That is fed by capitalism. Capitalism would crumble if we didn't have that envy thy neighbor attitude, which is supposed to be a deadly sin. If we didn't have
Right.
that, then how would we fund capitalism? We couldn't. Capitalism would crumble. If that idea of self identity, that's all that there is, if that started to crumble, and I love saying this, if we all got out of our own way, which eventually I was going to try to wrap this all the way to that at the very end. Somehow or another, I was going to try to figure that in there. Get out of our way. If everyone was able to get out of their own way, which means to have that identity, that self identity, that matrix that we have created since we were born up until now, if we were able to dismantle that, that is when spiritual experience can actually happen.
Do you
One cannot have a deep spiritual experience when they are still so much trapped into their own structure. So if
okay.
that got freed and all of us could go, oh my God, I'm glad I caught myself say go. I hate go when people talk about a spiritual experience. You have to go somewhere. It's like you have to travel to get somewhere in order to be enlightened or to reach nirvana. No, we have to get out of our way and remember. Enlightenment for myself is more of a remembrance than an achievement. We're already one with the universe. We are already source.
Right.
All we have to do is get out of our way and deja vu.
Right. Right. Well,
And
Heath,
how would we?
why do you think more of the, why do you think people don't offer themselves that opportunity to, break out of their own paradigm, their own boxes? What do you think stops them?
I can only speak for myself, right? Um, and
Pardon me.
I really can't do that because, to quote Friedrich Nietzsche, the self is not static. The self is always in flux. We are
Right.
always becoming into ourself. So myself is always changing. My thoughts are always evolving and changing. So I don't hold anything concrete. I don't hold on to anything too tightly. Um, Repeat the question.
Oh, pardon me. The room is getting hot in here, which I guess is a good thing in February. Um, Let me rephrase it this way: if we as humans are capable of, let's say, laying down the identity aspects that don't
Mm,
serve us, right?
I remember the question.
Yeah, what do you think is preventing us from doing so?
Well, um, thoughts. Okay. Instant thoughts that are going through that is they don't know that they can do that.
Ah,
First of all, if they don't even know that there's anything that exists outside of their thoughts, outside of their identity, then there's no reason to even try to pursue anything or forget anything or remember
right.
anything
And
because that's
if
all.
their identity matches up with other people's identity, they must be doing the right thing,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Like keeping up with
exactly.
the Joneses, I'm doing the right
Yes.
thing. If I'm climbing this ladder of hierarchy, I must be doing the right thing. Cuz so they're not even aware.
Yeah, possibly they're not aware, or possibly they are aware, but they want that advertised world so much that they learn how to rationalize themselves and maybe even compartmentalize that part of
Mm,
themselves and stick to the ego and just keep feeding the ego. And the spirit kind of gets weaker and weaker. They keep feeding the ego, spirit, no food, you know.
okay. Okay. Good point. Cuz see, sweetheart, that doesn't even pop into my mind. That they might not even think about it or think that they can or think that there's a need to, right?
Right.
Like that doesn't even nor usually Heath that never even pops into my mind because I guess I just don't know. I know the other side of that,
Right.
that it's like that's my normal. So
Mm-hmm.
I forget that this is a whole lot of people's not that's not their
Gotcha.
normal.
Okay. Well, I got a
Right.
thought coming through my head, so I'm going to share it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, why do people not try to break free? Well, let's use statistics. Statistics are cool because they're metrics, right?
Yeah. Right.
We live in a 73% Christian uh, community within the
Yeah.
United States.
Right.
And within that community, it is tried to the idea that we are separate from God,
Right.
that we don't have true power to change ourselves. Um, we have to go through another vessel, if you may say.
Yes. Right.
Um, okay, we're in the South, right? Okay,
Yeah.
right. In the South, you got to give yourself to Jesus. You got to
Right.
say this, you got to devote yourself. And then once you do that, Jesus will come and save you.
Right.
The power that Jesus had, the power that Jesus lived by, has been pushed to the side.
Right.
And like, you have to worship, you have to give yourself away in order to reach that. So 73%, okay, within that statistic, that's being very, very broad, overgeneralization there. A lot of Christian faiths go outside of that and actually see the empowerment that Jesus had as something that can be given to most man, but the mass majority of those do not. They believe that you have to give yourself to Jesus and he will be the one that saves you instead of them having the power themselves to save themselves.
Right.
So that's a big
Right.
influence on
Yes.
why the mass population does not try to use their own power because they have been told that they have to give themselves to Christ and he will do the saving.
Right. Right. Give your power over to something outside of yourself instead of Heath, is that accurate? The 73%? I've never that of the United States is Christian?
Okay. Uh,
I've never heard
okay.
that statistic. I don't look into the
When I heard that
which is like,
statistics, that was intro to religion that I
huh.
took maybe 13 years ago. So that's
That so it's
still probably
probably
relevant.
still in that ballpark. Yeah. Wow. I did not know that. That's that's a lot. I mean, of
And if somebody
course.
is going to watch this, they've already Googled that, used AI as soon as I said it. So maybe somebody who is
Hey,
out there who is watching
y-
this, please, if that statistic is wrong, hey, I'm old, I may have slipped up.
no,
Somebody do
it's
some
groovy.
research and throw that statistic out
Yeah.
there. That would be cool.
Yeah, put it in the comments, please. Whoever might be looking it up. There's a few people that here that do they like looking into things like that. So yeah, leave it in the comments below. I would appreciate it. Um that's a pretty big number and it probably is still in that ballpark. So I also agree with you in that the whole being taught to give your power over to someone else, it's not just the Christian thing, it's also like the hierarchy of this world of, you do what your boss tells you to do, you do what your
Mhm.
parents tell you to do, you do what
Yeah.
the society deems socially acceptable, that's what you do. And if that and then we have to put our little boxes, create around that. In my I do use the word control because and though when I know that I tried to conform to that for about 5 or 6 years, all of it, all of the mainline, uh, get a career, get a house, be Christian, do what like just be a standard human, right?
Yes.
Make your
Yes.
cupcakes, Courtney. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
just be a standard. And it broke me, dude. It broke me so horribly that I could never go back. It broke me into complete mental collapse. But it's also because prior to me fixating on that, I wasn't raised to do that. So I was raised without the religions. They said study them all. I was not raised with any form of structure. Do whatever you want.
Hmm.
I was raised by being told that I am my own master. So you better
Okay.
figure it out.
Okay.
But then I get out there as a young adult into the world. Oh my God, that doesn't bode well. That doesn't bode well. And I have student loans, I have this, I have that.
Mhm.
How do I reshape all my boxes to fit into the box of this? And it broke me. Um, that it's interesting to see it in that perspective, but then know the opposite for others that because do you feel that sometimes when people start breaking out of their boxes, it's kind of by happenstance or unforeseen reasons that that consumer, that hierarchy, that controlled matrix has such a great influence on people that it breaks them down in whatever way that opens them up to I actually don't have to live this way. I mean, think of the people that all lost their jobs during COVID and had no money
Mhm.
and went into horrible bankruptcy or are now, their living situations are vastly different. That broke a lot of people mentality wise, but then it opened them up also to I don't necessarily have to participate in that. What are your views with that? Do you think oftentimes kind of the breaking free happens more organically by us not being able to live up to some kind of system that is really to keep us down?
Um, yeah, I can see that when someone experiences, a traumatic experience in life. If it is uh, trauma, I guess there can be good trauma. I mean, if somebody experiences love, they decide to fall in love and they decide to get married. That's going into a life that wasn't like there before that they move into. Um, 1 second. Yes, my cat, excuse me, has cat hair. I think I ate one.
No, it's yeah. Oh, when I was laying in bed last night, I got a whiff of dog hair in my mouth, and I went, "Oh goodness." Um, I I know I'm posing interesting questions, as in, I guess I'm trying to get to Heath. Let's put that question aside. I guess let's go back to, do you think that the Matrix then is more of a spiritual base or a mental based creation?
Hmm. I would have to say that it is more of a mental creation.
Okay. But for
Yes,
you,
and
does spirituality play into it?
yes, when that mental creation, that identity that we have, stood on that platform that we have made for ourselves, when that platform or that identity is wiped from under us and we fall into ourselves, that is the spiritual experience, is getting out of your own way, allowing your ego to kind of like fizzle aside that separateness, and then you kind of merge in with the source. And that experience is, oh gosh, so many words out there. That experience is the immersion into the spirit. That is the ultimate remembrance that someone can have, is that identity that is only as old as we are, is impermanent.
Mm-hmm.
And when that is put aside, then we come into our spirit that we are all the time. We are always spirit. The matrix is that identity matrix that we have created, that we think that sometimes that all that there is that, and that can be a hindrance.
And that can be a hindrance. So, do you believe that once somebody kind of has an authentic, maybe spiritual experience like that, that at least opens their eyes or invites them to start reshaping their own
Most certainly.
matrix?
Most certainly. That's where
Okay.
I was going. That's where I was going with a big experience in somebody's life. A good experience is, hey, I am out here. I'm all by myself. I got my good job. I'm buying my food. I'm buying this. I'm all living for myself. Boom. Then you decide to get married. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I can't only live for myself. I've got to compromise and I've got to live with someone else. I've got to become one with this person that I am married to. That it could almost be a spiritual experience where somebody has to get out of their way, only feeding their own ego, and have to compromise with someone else and merge there. I think that could almost help someone reach a spiritual experience, or at least get away from I am the only thing that exists. Or when somebody has an unfortunate death, if it is an animal, if it is a family member, that tragic experience, people will start to question identity. They will start to question, the metaphysics of life. Wow, that body is no longer breathing. I just was talking with that person. Where is that? What happened to
Right.
that? That can break somebody into questioning things, into maybe going into introspection into themselves and examining themselves and By doing that, sometimes you can start to break down those structures that we've created, and then a spiritual experience can slip through.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel for yourself, for
Mhm.
you yourself, Heath, do you feel that you live kind of outside of that collective matrix? Do you live maybe, I don't know what the word would be. It's like
I try,
you're
I
still a
try to
part
get,
of, but like,
I try to get out of that world as much as possible.
okay, so what does Heath do to experience differently?
Um, Simply put it, not attached to anything that I do.
Okay. Okay, so how do you can you break that down for folks? Because I know
Yes,
that,
I need to
yeah,
unpack that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, well, everything that I do in my normal day life is for my ego. I mean, I go to work, I have a job, I have hobbies I do. I do all of these things, um, but it doesn't mean that that is my identity. That is all that I am. Is all of that. There is also this inner stillness, this inner calmness that is very, very quiet, but very experiential during that stillness.
Mm-hmm.
But that's always there with me, even though when I'm in my daily life doing what I have to do for my ego, my spirit is always there with that kind of observing everything that I am doing for my ego, for my day-to-day life. I can kind of like be back and just observe everything that my ego has to do
Mm-hmm.
without that being what I am.
Okay. Okay. So you allow the ego to be present, but you're not allowing it to run the show.
Oh, yes, yes. I think a lot of people are confused with ego death or let's get rid of the ego. Dude, we are like a mechanical structure. We function. We
Right.
have to have that ego in order to function and live, but don't
Right.
get attached to it.
Right.
Don't get
Right.
impregnated, don't get impregnated by your own ego to where that is what you are, which I was actually confused the other day when I told you I searched the etymology of the word matrix. It was not Greek. I searched Greek. I could find nothing Greek. It's actually Latin. Back in the
Okay.
late
Yeah.
14th century, the word matrix first appeared in Latin, meaning womb, something that encompasses and creates all.
Okay. Let's pause right there for the audience, Heath. You just said that the word matrix originally comes from Latin that c- is derived from the word womb. Like
Yes.
a female womb that grows a baby, womb, something that holds creation in a way. Wow, thank you for letting us pause with that.
Mhm.
Kind of puts a different scope on things. Because it's like, I'm a creator, you're a creator, we're all a creator.
Mhm.
So that's why we have our own individual little boxes and bubbles of like our identity
Right.
matrix.
But within that idea, we have to be cautious that when we are creating our identity, that we don't become impregnated by that idea of identity and allow that to encompass us. And that will be everything that we are is that matrix of identity, that womb.
Mmm. Okay. Okay. I like that.
Perhaps I just came up with that. I just put those two things
Yeah.
together. We just threw and that
Yeah,
thought
we're
came
just
up.
talking. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just talking, but that's beautiful cuz I I am a firm believer that the majority of all humans walking around this beautiful planet, it's inflated egos, and it's egos then talking to egos. It's egos talking, doing the comings and goings. It's more the inflated egos of most people. And same as you saying, impregnated with this, I I like I like that imagery though for all kinds of aspects within the concepts of the Matrix. Um, because eventually something has to be birthed, right?
What will it be?
Eventually, exactly. Eventually, if we're talking about a womb, well, hmm, that goes into because my mind now is going into like ancient stories and texts and
All right, all
all
right.
sorts of things of stuff.
Okay, well here,
So,
well here's something, some imagery that's just coming to me right now. Okay, so with what we had just said, okay, let's imagine we're in this small identity womb, and that's all we're allowing ourselves to be. That's our structure.
mm,
Let's think if we can puncture that womb,
yeah,
and
right.
we come out of that, but we come into the large source womb.
Yes.
So each of us can be a womb of source within ourselves if we don't allow that identity to trap us into that structure.
Right.
Oh,
I
I've got to quote
go ahead.
Rumi here. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in one drop.
Okay. I love you, Heath. Thank you for
Love you too.
quoting that because I've actually posed that question to people. I put that. So, can you repeat that quote real quick for
Um,
everyone, Heath?
okay, I'm going to try to say it verbatim, but maybe
It's
not.
okay. Just yeah.
We are not a drop in the ocean. We are the entire ocean in a drop, which shifts the way that people think about things because a lot of people say, oh, yes, you are like a drop and you can flow back into the source. But when you're doing that, you're having limiting talk to yourself that you're just this drop trying to find your way back to the source. The way Rumi has rephrased it is you are everything that the source is within your own self.
Exactly. And so I've often I've put I framed that into a question with some other stuff, as in, like, do you think you're a drop in the ocean or do you think you're the whole ocean? Like, what do you think you are? And I do that often because it pains me when I am in conversation with people and they refer to themselves as just a kernel of sand or a drop in the ocean or an ant. The expression of referring to themselves as just an ant, I hear often, especially in representation to God or the gods plural, that we're just little ants. And it pains me to hear this because I'm thinking of, wow, that's that's a great amount of limitations when I know you're an infinite beautiful being. Uh,
Okay.
oh,
I can see the point of that as the little ant representing the ego, and to think that you are just a little ant within this big world of millions of ants, it humbles you in that fashion.
yes,
It brings your ego down. It deflates your ego instead of inflating your ego. So with
this
the
is
deflated
yeah,
ego, it is easier for someone to be influenced by religious powers and religious sources and told that you need to practice their rules, their methods in order to help yourself.
exactly, and that's kind of what I meant by that is that there's so many conversations I have that people will say, well, compared to the gods, I'm just a small little ant. And I'm thinking, why are you not also the gods?
Yes.
Like we're all in the same boat. We're all connected. We're all one. So what makes me different than a god?
Can
Like
I
I'm
can
not.
I maybe throw in
So
a cool
yeah,
analogy here?
yeah,
I like to use this one. I love fungus, mycology. Um, so let's think of the world of fungus, right? When we're out there and we're walking around, it's a nice, cool morning. The dew is out. We see these mushrooms, which are the club fungus. And what we're seeing there, we think that they're individual mushrooms, right? Because that's what we see. You can pick them, right? You can take, of course, they're individual mushrooms, but that is the reproductive structure of the mycelium web, which encompasses everything, is all the way around. So those little individual mushrooms can represent the individual egos that we have. Yes, at the same time, we can be those individual club funguses. At the same time, we're a part of the whole web of mycelium. And that can
right,
also happen within the same idea of consciousness.
right. Yes. That if we truly start thinking and believing that there is no separation, well, I'm not going to refer to myself as an ant. Because acknowledging that there's no separation is humbling within itself.
Mhm.
But I'm also not going to refer to myself as an ant because for me, there is no degrees of lesser or greater. And it's usually in the context of someone referring to themselves in that derogatory less than way when they're speaking of themselves as an ant. Once again, going back to
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
it was set up a long time ago for, I mean, and way even before Christ, that we are to worship something. We are
Mhm.
to look outside of ourselves for power. It's to look outside of ourselves for safety and protection and abundance, as people like to say, of resources. Always something outside yourself, something outside yourself. And I believe this idea of like the matrix is kind of crumbling away of what we know of it. I am anticipating and hoping and that more people are, as you said, remembering, being reintroduced to the power within. That is my hope.
I think that is a worthwhile hope. Boom. I'm there with you for sure. Yes, yes. Only if we can, like, if there's some type of way we can telepathically, like, just boom,
Boom.
send out this idea without impregnating others, with allowing them to take this way of living, this idea, these thoughts that we have, and accept them themselves and inspect them. Check them out. What are they saying?
Yes.
What's going on there? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's get on Google. Boom. Let's do that, please. Take all these
Yeah.
thoughts that we're sharing here together, because these are just kind of like, for myself, just streams of consciousness that I will try to formulate and articulate. But they're just thoughts that are going through, that I'll
Yes.
grab one thought here. Ooh, I can link it to that thought. Boom. I can link it to that thought. And I would try to come up with some articulated way of doing that. And I wish that others would look at their thoughts as just thoughts and learn how to let those thoughts go and have a trajectory that's free, and allow them to go where they go without fear of what they're going to realize or what they're going to remember if they allow those thoughts to continue. I don't think anybody's going to, have any way of realizing anything that's going to cause them harm, unless being a little bit more aware of your current situation and how your life is affecting everyone else. If you don't want to have an awareness of that, then maybe continue just living within your matrix.
Yeah.
It's much
Well, the
easier.
it's well, yeah, it's much easier. Maybe a little bit less painful, a little bit,
Yes,
like
yes.
I know this. So this I know. Unknown is a bit scary. I Heath, that's why I kind of wanted to have you here talking about this stuff because when you were just talking, then I was thinking about how everybody can learn this stuff, read this stuff, search this stuff out, but you're one of those ones that I personally know that also tries to apply it. Like when you learn something, when you take in all these different theories out there, different even your own thoughts, you then apply it, good, bad, or indifferent, right? If you're
Hmm.
thinking, oh,
Hmm.
maybe I should apply this one and see where it takes me, you're one of those that actually will do that. And I think that's where true understanding, true wisdom actually develops, is like the knowledge plus the experience, the application of things leads to that. So I kind of want to go back to what is what is it for you to kind of, I guess, maybe living in a bit of two different types of matrices. Speaking of like the collective, like you have the Heath that does have to pay the bills and go to work, and you can observe him. But then you also have this Heath that I'm sure, as he's observing and doing and being, has thoughts. What's your experience like with adapting, or not adapting, but applying these things to your daily life?
Brings me calmness.
Mm,
Um, Creates a space that I accept everything that is currently happened to me and everything that has happened to me because of the decisions that I have made. Everything good or bad that is happening is from me. Although others have maybe influenced me, ultimately I was either able to pause and respond, or either I was just stimuli and reaction.
mm, right.
Um, and with those, I like to think that I am able to finally learn how to not just be stimuli and reaction, and to take something in and respond with critical thinking, a little bit of personal analysis and reflection, introspection, and then come up with whatever rises.
Nice. And you feel comfortable in your own skin?
Oh gosh, at times, sometimes absolutely not.
Sorry.
Yes, do I ever wake up with those do I ever wake up with those days and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Heath, it has been 3 days and that dirty cup is still sitting there on the table." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing in this skin? I can't even wash a dish." Um, so to be comfortable within my own skin, I try to keep my life as easy as possible, as clean as possible, so that I am comfortable in my skin. And by being comfortable in my skin, I can forgive myself for leaving that dirty glass out for 3 days because, oh my God, it's really not relevant to anything that's going on.
Any.
That's just my little own personal
Mhm,
ego that's like,
mhm.
wanting to be a critic of myself, going, why didn't you
Right.
do that? So I've learned with that is to, man, be your best friend
Mhm.
instead of your worst critic.
Right.
That's how I'm
Right.
able to cope with like the daily life and with knowing that, I have to go do this ego thing. I have to go to this job, da da da. I have to do this. I'm not very happy with this. To when I get done with that, I'll be able to go home and go into my stillness mode, my therapy mode. I've got 3 cats and 2 dogs, so I can come home and when I lay down into my meditation, I like to do an actual laying down meditation, kind of
Yeah.
like a corpse pose when I first get home from work. And all my animals come, they lay down right next to me, and they're like, "You've probably been busy all day. Look at how calm and quiet that we can be. And they'll
Yeah.
come and they'll lay down beside me, and I'm just like, ah, and I can just allow everything that had happened that day just to kind of like physical away. Everything that just affected my ego. Nothing affected my spirit. It's just my little bitty ego. And I can just sink down with my animals and they'll relax me. And then I can remember, ah, this is what's important.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so I got to ask you, Heath, because I know how nature based you are, how earth based you are, and you just brought up your animals. Where do you think that falls into all this? Just earth, period. Where does that fall into this concept of matrix or any matrix?
Just the whole idea of the earth. Well, here comes a thought. In some of my experiences, I've done fasting, hiking, retreats out in the quiet stillness of nothing but nature. And re-enter the question one more time, just quickly.
Just
Oh,
earth
yeah,
as the
okay, connection.
planet,
Okay,
just
Earth.
as
And
the
how does
planet,
it, yes,
how,
how does
what
the
do you
planet,
think it
yes,
is
yes,
in relation to this matrix aspect? Yeah.
with my times out in nature, I have been able to fast. I have been able to clear my mind. I have been able to clear myself of as many emotions as possible, and lose my own monkey brain, lizard brain creation of perception. The
Hmm.
physical hard world, objects, trees, things that are stationary. I have been able to get to a point within meditation, within forgetting my identity, getting away from that to where I have experienced what I can only call as immersion into everything except for Heath.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had several times during those experiences that I was so connected to the world and everything around me that there was no separation between me and everything, to the point where I could almost visualize, or did visualize, the whole earth as one organism.
Mm.
And I was a part of that. My heart, my breath was in rhythm with existence. And I kind of got impregnated by that idea. And that kind of like became a matrix of
Okay.
mine,
Okay.
that I was part of this organ, part of this earth, that is what I was.
Lovely.
So that was a
Yeah.
matrix of the earth in this matrix world. Is that, yes, it was awesome to experience the dismantling or the dissolvement of the ego and experience yourself as one with nature, with everything. That was a great experience to humble myself down. But at the same time, possibly my ego grabbed onto that as well, because the ego is always trying to get satisfied.
Right. Yeah.
So so maybe the ego grabbed onto that and was like, okay, now we can make this mind think that it is part of the earth, but we're still trapping him into a womb that he is now part of something larger than himself, but now he is part of this organism that is earth. So that was limiting as well.
Okay. No,
It was
I get that. I get that.
it was freeing, and expansion happened as well, but the expansion happened as the organism of earth, instead of
Right.
even seeing that I should even be attached to that at all. And then the expansion can expand to as far as the eye can see. the stars, the blackness beyond the stars.
Right. Right. Yeah. But sometimes we need those pockets of time, those instances of that expansion, even if it's a limited expansion, to then keep building and from there, keep expanding out from there. So I think it's still beautiful, the experience of because
Oh,
uh, that just opens you up to, okay, I'm deeply connected and rooted with the earth,
oh yes,
and
I
then
didn't.
add and then add
Yeah,
and then
yes, yes,
add.
yes, yes.
Yeah, right.
And in no way, I am so grateful that I have been able to have the experiences that I have. And yes, those experiences definitely profoundly help create who I am today. I was not belittling that experience at all because that was one
Yeah.
of the biggest experiences of my life
Oh, it sounded
and will
beautiful.
continue to be an experience of my life. Not to belittle that, just not to limit that.
Yes, exactly. Amen. I agree with you, brother. Well, based on that though, so going back to the beginning, do you think that the quote unquote matrix, we talked about how you do believe it's more mental. Do you believe that it is created or sustained more organically like the earth? Um, if it's not, we're all on a mothership somewhere in these tubes
Mhm.
and that sort of thing. If it's not that, and you've had this experience with the earth, can you maybe divulge a little bit more of maybe what you perceive the matrix to be? You said it was like a veil in a way. You've had these experiences from the meditation with the earth and experiencing that to the um, with the epilepsy, with all this stuff. If you could maybe put it into a bit of a nutshell, this womb, how do you think it operates?
It is, for myself, something that is a mental structure of identity, something that the ego portion of my existence can hold on to and have form in order to continue to exist. And that matrix is built by each individual. And that matrix can become very, very, very rigid, so strong that a person will believe that that is all that they are, is that identity that just started getting created from the time that they were born until the time that is present. That is what I would consider the most relative matrix, and the matrix that affects us all the most is our own individual structures that we have created based
Okay.
on all of our experiences, all the knowledge that we've been told, how we were brought up, how we were raised, what have we come across since then. That is the matrix. And we always are creating our own world, but is it a matrix that we create based on what everybody else has told us is okay? The social norms, the norms that are accepted by our parents. Is that going to be our matrix? Or is the matrix that we build going to be one more that is open, one that is always in a state of flux, one that is willing to grow, one that is willing to evolve, one that is not limited by our own self created limitations?
Mm.
Um, do we want to live in a world, small, little bitty ego? Or do we want to learn to dissolve that and have an existence that is exuberant and expands all the way out there? And with that, if we free ourselves of that small limiting matrix and open ourselves up to expansion, and our self is no longer here, our self is there, everyone is ourself. We don't even have to tell someone to be kind to another soul because that
Mm-hmm.
soul is them. That is
Mm-hmm.
their self.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would prefer, well, I know I prefer to live in the expanded created matrix that I am creating than to live in this small little egotistical frame of life.
Mm-hmm.
And with that expanded view of self, it is so easy for me to be kind to someone else because that someone else is me.
Mm-hmm.
So by being kind to that person, ultimately, I'm not being altruistic because of my understanding of the mechanism. I am being selfish by helping someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a mutual aid, it's a reciprocal form of selfishness. That is the matrix that I like to live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too. Me too. I, I am as you are, as my teacher
Yes.
says, and as I say, I am as you are. You are as I am. Um, when you were just talking there, Heath, though, I think you just said something that kind of hits some of the nails on the head as to why are we not all living that way, as in I am as you are as I am. Kindness to another is kindness to yourself because you are the same. um when you were speaking just then about that, my thought went off because I was listening mostly, but a thought went off as in that might be part of the problem is that too many people I don't feel like they're worthy of kindness, don't think that kindness exists, don't you get what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
the healing needs to be there to even want to experience a world of pure kindness based on I am you, you are me,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't think that exists. They don't think they're worthy of it. Um, they just don't believe in it,
Um,
and that's
perhaps, perhaps every problem that everyone has is separation anxiety. And
mm,
I'm borrowing this from a clip I had saw. So these are not my own thoughts. As I had said earlier, so many things come into me, and we are able to share from each other that I don't want to say that any thoughts are mine. I don't hang on to any of these as like an
yeah.
authority on any of this.
Right.
Not an
I know what
authority
you mean.
on any of this. I
Right.
am just sharing thoughts that I love to have and thoughts that have come through experiences.
So the separation
But the
anxiety.
separation anxiety that everyone has is separation or the impregnated idea that we are separate from the source. When we are connected to the source, all of these little human problems that we have, all these little egotistical problems that we have, we realize that, oh my God, why have I been troubled by that? Why have I allowed that to bother me so bad? Oh my God, why is
Mm,
that bothering me so bad? It
yeah.
doesn't matter.
Right.
So all
Right.
everything, every traumatic things that possibly happens to humans is because of separation anxiety.
Yeah. Okay. So probably 20 years ago now, I sat with that, the separation, and how they teach the separation between us and God, and the imprint of what that did to our society.
Mm-hmm,
I,
mm-hmm,
I sat for quite a good time with that, researching, meditating, what have you. and it for me it's what created that deep-seated loneliness that everyone has, or until they heal that deep-seated loneliness that you could be married, you could have kids, you could have a slew of friends, but you carry this deep-seated loneliness. That's and so I get what you're talking about, because I that deep-seated loneliness then creates the unworthiness that
Yes.
people feel,
Hmm. Hmm.
that all of that really needs to be healed and experienced through application of knowledge, that
Yes.
you are
Yes.
connected.
Yes. They
And
everyone is worthy. Remember, we are not a drop of water in the ocean. We are the entire ocean in one drop. We are all
yeah,
worthy.
yes, yes, yes. So Heath, this has been a I love this conversation. It was lovely.
Yeah, me
Every
too.
guest,
Fantastic.
yeah,
I
every
don't know if
guest
we
has a
like went
different
anywhere we wanted, what direction this went in,
I
but I am very happy
uh
with the direction it went.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
of
so I
course.
was going to
Awesome.
ask, cuz every guest has a very different scope. You know, has different opinions and thoughts, and that's beautiful. It's great. I cherish that. So I wanted, before we say goodnight, during this premiere, is there something you do want to share with others, that you want to express, that you want to leave us with? Or share even more thoughts that you didn't get an opportunity to express during the discussion?
I'm sure there's all kinds of things that I have not been able to express. I didn't really have any direction in this. The only question I knew that you did give me heads up on the first question, but that was it. So
That was it.
unprepared, had no, strategy for this. So
I
maybe if we can
enjoyed
do
it.
this, maybe if we can do this again, I'll have a little bit more streamlined way of speaking and a little bit more articulation there. But this was great. So the only thing that I would want to leave with, because there's so many things that I would like to express, is we need. Okay, we need. Boom. People don't like to hear need. Let me articulate that. Perhaps if we as individuals want to dive into ourselves and examine ourselves a little bit and maybe learn how to separate ourselves from the thoughts or detach ourselves from the thoughts that we have and relax a little bit and maybe sit back and
Mm,
observe those and learn that those get in our way more often than they help us. And by being able to get away from those thoughts, we can have an experience of stillness, an experience of quietness and calmness. And when we get to that, let me step back, reverse. When we remember that,
mm,
when we remember what we already are, which is our actual nature is very calm and very still.
mm.
When we can remember our nature and get back to that nature, all kinds of fantastic things happen. So maybe we
Excellent.
can practice learning how to get out of our own way and
Yes.
allow the experience to just happen. I guess some call it surrender. Don't be
Mm.
afraid to surrender.
Actually, they do. They do call that surrender.
I know
I
I don't know
refer
why I
that.
didn't use that. I made a big, huge, complicated talking about just
No, no,
surrender.
because, well, everybody, it's interesting because definitions are individualized.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
for
yeah, of
me,
course, of course.
I don't refer to that as surrender. I refer to that as to be.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What? Yeah. But I know a lot of people that would refer, but then surrender also means a lot to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Surrender your will and
Mm-hmm.
power over to. So, uh, definitions are good. So the very beautiful explanation and detailed process of that stillness, that quiet. That's lovely, Heath. Yeah, and you've already talked and demonstrated. See, because I know you,
Hmm.
I'm telling the audience that you demonstrate this. You are a walking embodiment of a lot of what you're speaking of, as in having that stillness that is always kind of your center, that is your frame of reference of regardless of what might be happening around me or to me, whoop, I can go back to that. And
Well,
I know that's what you do.
right. Well, that is my constant attempt. That is the target that I want to hit, is that stillness.
Yeah.
Do I miss the target a lot because of daily life? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yes, that is the aim, that I try to have a discipline. That is my aim all the time. Do I always reach that? Of course not.
You're
But
human.
yes, that
Bless you
is,
for being human.
hey, oh
Yeah.
my God, right? Exactly, exactly. But that's the aim, is to try to hit that target of stillness as many times as I can throughout the day, even if it's only 5 minutes.
Yeah, right. I had a teacher years ago that once said, it takes a lot to be okay with being human.
Yes, yes,
And I had to wrap my head around that for a while, having that compassion for self and others because we're all just human. Yeah.
yes,
And so, beloved Heath, thank you because
yes.
you're sharing your humanity with us. As in,
Hmm.
that is my target. I hit it often, and I can bear witness that you do. But then we're also humans, so that it's like we have to give ourselves some grace.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you for saying that. Be your best friend. Be like, hey,
Yes,
you know what? It is okay to be human. Boom. We're going to get through this instead of criticizing yourself.
exactly, exactly. Well, Heath, this has been a pleasure. And beautiful stars out there listening, share this out. Remember that Heath does put on drum circles around the Chattanooga area, definitely Coolidge Park. He is Rhythm and Breath Remedy. Everyone, take this in, swirl it around, observe your thoughts, and definitely have a good weekend. Heath, I really appreciate you, my dear.
I
I hope you had
appreciate
fun,
you
and
very
we
much. And
will
thank
have
you.
you back on.
Yes. And
Yeah.
thank you for helping me keep the train on track.
That's,
And
you know,
hopefully we can meet at another intersection and have part
yes.
two.
Yes, excellent. Yes. Now that, especially for first guests, they want that because it's like that they gotta get the all the inner workings out of how does this operate,
Yes.
and then it
Yes.
gets so comfortable that they come back and it's ba 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 ba. These are all the
Well,
greatness. Yeah.
well, that's what I'm hoping will happen in part two, is that I will be comfortable and relaxed while we're doing this, because I've been inflicted with anxiety throughout the whole interview.
I know,
So I
sweetie.
think
I
I think
know.
part two I will be much more laid back and relaxed, and we'll make it happen.
Yes, and so I sincerely thank you because
Uh,
that's everyone, Heath. Most people, this is not their comfort zone, being in front and talking and kind of an interview style. So I really sincerely I honor you and bow to you for your willingness.
well,
So
I
much in
appreciate the
life.
invitation, and I
Yeah.
appreciate everything that you have done for me since the time that I've known you, and the invitation for this. So thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah, your willingness is makes all the difference to for all peoples and yours is hmm, it's beautiful. Just your willingness within this whole life
Yes.
system.
I love experiences, and I love to have experiences with other people, and to come into a just a stillness with others where we can all just be around without even having to talk to each other and be
Mm,
comfortable. And you guys have become kind of my chosen family. And the reason
beautiful.
why you have become my chosen family is because I can be authentic and
Yes.
accepted at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, completely.
Yes,
It's
100%. And I thank you for having that free space.
yeah, and think about if all the people, if we were able to feel that I can be I am accepted as my authentic self, all those boxes and limitations would just start falling off, falling away, so we can be that stillness that is our quiet nature that you already know of. And I know that your hope and my hope is that more people come to experience that and believe that it is possible. Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Well, beloved stars, go ahead, Heath.
Yes, thank everybody for viewing this and attending. And please comment.
Yes,
hit
yes.
hit a like on there, because the like that you hit will just bring other people to be able to come to this and experience this as well, and the conversation can just get so much larger and so much freeing. And the more that you guys comment and share your authentic ideas with no worrying about judgments, we can grow from each other.
Right.
We can build something here. We can continue to help each other and learn.
Uh, Agreed. Fully. So beautiful stars out there. Thanks to Heath. We had a lovely night, a great discussion. I hope it inspired thought in you. Leave a comment below. As he said, leave a like, share it out, and we will be together again for Edgar Casey Life Skill Studies or Matrix Living here at Stars of the Morning Light. Heath, thank you, sir. I appreciate you. And beautiful
Thank you.
stars,
Blessings.
keep shining. Have a great week. Thanks, everybody.